Alright， 各位观众，大家好，我是国良老师。So this is going to be part 2B of the lunchtime lesson, and just a quick recap for 2A. What we've done is we've tried the E minor chord, switching over to your C chord. Alright, and we've also done a bit of practice trying to switch between the E minor, having the middle finger as the pivot finger, and then flipping over to the C chord. Alright, so we're going to start with the G chord right here, and I'm going to guide you slowly on how you should place your fingers. So you want to start with the index finger right here on the 2nd fret of your 5th string. Okay, middle finger, it's going to be on the 3rd fret of your 6th string. Ring finger, it's going to be on the 3rd fret of your 2nd string. And last but not least, you have your pinky on the 3rd fret of your 1st string. Alright, so all in all, this is how it looks like. And remember, you want to have a good curvature of your fingers. Make sure it's kind of like a C shape, okay, as opposed to having them collapse in this manner. Okay, so when your fingers collapse, they tend to mute the other strings from ringing. Correct or not? They're not nice really. Cannot, that one cannot. Okay, so we want to make sure that whenever you play any chords, okay, try and keep the first joint of every single finger perpendicular to the fingerboard. Alright, so like this. Okay, can you see the curvature? Let me try and get a good angle. Alright, there you go. Alright, so you see that? So as opposed to having this, you want it in this manner. Okay, can? So this is going to be your G chord, and of course I'm gonna get some questions is can I use the 3-finger G in this manner or this manner? Yes, you can, your choice. But I'll prefer I kind of prefer the sound of this 4-finger G chord. Okay, so there you go, that's your G chord. Okay, now next, what's your D chord? 请看 VCR. Okay, I'm gonna just show it to you again. That's my G chord. And then when I switch over to my D chord, alright, can you see that? Which finger stays? The ring finger stays. Okay, so I'm going to use my ring finger as my pivot and switch over. For those who are not sure on how to play the D chord, this is what we have. Index finger will be on the 2nd fret of your 3rd string. Middle finger on the 2nd fret of your 1st string. And last but not least, you have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of your 2nd string. Correct? Okay, so when we try and compare this D chord and your G chord, okay, you'll find that there's going to be a common note. In this case, okay, it's your ring finger. So when I switch, I'm going to do it in such a in this manner. Okay, so 请看 VCR very slowly. I'm going to let go of my index, my middle, and my little finger. I'm going to keep this ring finger right there. Okay, and then using that as a pivot finger, I am going to form a D chord from there. Okay, so check this out. G chord, switching over to my D chord. Again, G to D, G to D, G to D. Alright, so my ring finger acts like an anchor finger when I switch from my G chord to my D chord. Okay, so the question is, what if I'm much more used to kind of letting go every single thing before I switch? That's fine, as long as you're able to get all the fingers down at the same time. Okay, so let's try and give it a shot. We are going to strum 4 downstrokes of G chord, switching over to 4 downstrokes of D chord, and then we're going to bounce back to G chord. Just keep bouncing back and forth, okay, for the next 10 hours now, okay? Alright, so let's give it a shot, and ready? So G chord and then going to D chord, bouncing back and forth, okay? Until I'm happy and you're happy. Alright, so ready? We try? 1, 2, folks, let's go. And G, 2, 3, and change to D, 2, 3, and back to G, 2, 3, 4, and D, 2, 3, 4, and G, 2, 3, 4, and D, 2, 3, back to G, 2, 3, 4, and D, 3, and back to G. Okay, so that was about 10 hours already. Okay, so let me just do a quick recap about the 4 chords that we have done so far. We have done E minor going to a C chord, correct? So that is going to be the first pivot that we have using the middle finger. E minor going to your C chord. The middle finger stays, and the only change that you do is basically keeping your middle finger right here and then flipping the index finger and the ring finger. So that's E minor, switching over to the C chord. Alright, now the second anchor that we have, right, it's from your G chord going to your D chord, where we keep the ring finger right there. Okay, but when we try and link up 4 chords, okay, for example, in this manner, E minor, okay, then we have that pivot going to C. Okay, now this is where it gets a bit tricky, because from C to G, there are no anchor finger. Okay, it means there are no common notes right there. So what I want to try and do is to practice E minor going to C, G going to D, right? Make sure you get those changes smooth, and then from C to G chord. Okay, slow it down and make sure that whenever you practice the chord change between these 2 chords, you're shifting all of your fingers at the same time. Okay, this is tricky, but it can be done. Okay, if you practice 10 hours a day now, Okay, so we have this. Check this out. C chord. When I switch over to my G chord, I'm thinking of it in this manner. Index finger and the ring finger, it's going to be moving towards you, okay? And then the ring finger and the little finger will be moving away from you. So 2 fingers close to me, 2 fingers away from me. So C, shift. You see that? C, shift. Okay, I don't want this, folks. If you're doing this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, by the time you're done with the chord change, okay, the duration of that chord has passed already. So make sure that whenever you change chords, the fingers have to touch the strings simultaneously, all at the same time. Okay, so for example, C, G, C, G, and check that all my fingers are touched down at the same time. You see that? So practice this motion, okay? C, G, C, G, C, G, C, G. You don't have to strum, you just have to get used to the shape. Alright? So it's kind of like trying to get your fingers into a certain form, you know, every single time you think about a chord. So G chord, alright? C chord, D chord, E minor. So they're all patterns that your left hand has to train and get used to. Okay? So remember, E minor to C, then we've got G to D, and then you work on the tough one, which is going to be C to G. Alright? Once you can do that, try and link up and practice with me and do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and E minor, 2, 3, and change to a C, 2, 3, and G, 2, 3, then change to a D, 2, 3, and back to E minor, 2, 3, 4, and C, 2, 3, and jump to G, 2, 3, 4, and D, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and then you can end on your E minor. Alright, so the main thing is you want to make sure that you're able to switch those 4 chords smoothly, okay, without any pauses, okay, and also bear in mind the chords has to be clear, okay. If you're doing this, even if you're fast, it does not matter, okay. The chord has to be fast and it has to be clear, okay. So we've got E minor, okay, and also be aware of the number of strings that you have to strum. So E minor, we strum 6 strings, C will be 5, G will be 6, and D chord will be 4. Okay, so be patient and work on those 4 chords first. Alright, so Thank you folks for watching, and I'll see you next week for the lunchtime lesson. Okay, bye bye.